Well, hi everybody. I've just come back from the WalterLand Masters in Hungary. Fantastic event. Thomas Walter runs this. It's got loads of countries. I believe 18 different countries were represented in the event. There was 38 teams. And what the event consists of is a 2-day team fishing pole match, and then a 1-day event after it, the Daiwa Feeder Challenge, which comes the next day. So it's a really nice trip. It gives you a chance to go, practice as a team, work together, catch a few fish, and then have a 2-day team match float fishing when it's all pole. And then after that, there's an individual event, which is feeder, which is great, mixes it up a bit. And there was 181 anglers on the feeder match on the Sunday. So you can see it's a really well attended event. Now, my team was Preston Innovations. I was really pleased to represent them. We had Des Ship, Ricky Teal, Mick Viles, Andy Power and myself. Not a bad lineup. We were really looking forward to it. We had to get a load of things sorted. It's a mammoth drive, 2 days all the way across Europe. I believe it's about 1,380 miles, something like that, from my house, which is a very, very long way, let me assure you. But to be honest, when you're getting on with it in a couple of days and you're having a chat and all the rest of it, it seems to go by. And when you get there, it's worth it. The venue at Szeged is a rowing course. Now, I've never actually fished on a rowing course before. I've been to a few to have a little look, but I've never actually been lucky enough to fish on one. And I can't believe how good it is. This is an arrow straight line, 12 metres of lovely grass behind you on a very, very slight slope, which is perfect. Perfect for shipping back, perfect for all your tackle, doesn't get damaged, all the grass is nicely cut. It's 8 foot deep in front of you. Nearly everywhere is 8 foot deep. The deepest it is 8.5 feet. It's really a uniform depth all the way along, which is fantastic. It's just what you want. You don't want to be going somewhere with loads of different options. Obviously, I like to go everywhere and have a little look at everything, but it's really nice to go to an event like this where you know that it's all going to be the same all the way along. Something that I'm really, really into, because it gives you a chance to get all your stuff ready and then work on the fishing, which some people forget is the most important thing. You know, what am I going to feed, how am I going to feed it, where am I going to feed it, when am I going to feed it, and that is what dictates your catch. So when I started looking at rigs, I made some rigs up. I made the interwires up, show you there. Look, you can see we've got a nice thick visible bristle, not stupidly thick but just nice. That's a gram. I made them up in a gram and a gram and a half. They were the main floats I used. I've got a few very similar to these, some old PT series floats in slightly bigger sizes, but they were absolutely spot on. And I found, to be honest, that a gram and a half was the perfect size. I had it shotted nicely, probably about that sort of amount of bristle showing. You could see indications then, but some of the bites were quite shy. It's amazing really, because it's stocked with thousands and thousands of carp. It's like the world's biggest commercial. It's absolutely and utterly stocked with fish. Loads of carp ranging from probably a pound up to who knows. I know there's one been caught 17 kilos in the past, but the biggest fish I saw was probably about 10 pound while we were there, 10, 11 pound, but there was plenty of them in there. So you had to be ready for everything. I prepared hook lengths, 011, 013 reflow power. That was pretty much strong enough to deal with everything. And then 11 hollows, 9 hollow if you're a bit faffy, and 13 hollow if you're really having it. So it was really nice to have a simple range of rigs and everything ready to go. Floats were dead easy, shotted with an Olivet, probably about that far away, which is about 2.5 foot, and a couple of droppers underneath. Big droppers, number 8s, even number 7s, which are obviously fine in Europe. And that gives you a clean indication, so when the fish picks up the bait, it moves that big shot, you see it quickly and you can whack into your fish. So it's really, really nice. Mixing ground baits, that was always going to be interesting. We used Supercrom Bream. Okay, it's a really, really nice mix. We used a bit of Supercrom River because there's a bit of brown crumb in there, and we used a little bit of Lehman soil and a bit of a local mix that they'd helped us out with as well, so that was quite handy. When we got those together, it made a really nice mix. The Bream actually was perfect for it because it's got a lot of little bits of corn and maize meal in, ground up, which is that sort of thing that these fish want to eat, and it's very sweet, and that's important as well. Fish meals aren't really playing a big part in places like these. I've tried them lots of time, but it doesn't seem to work the same. I think that's because you're feeding big volumes of ground bait and not small amounts. So in that we were putting 150mm joker, 150mm dead maggots, 250mm corn, plenty of bait, and creating a nice big area to hold some fish. And then with a little bit of soil, a little bit of joker and a little bit of dead maggot, we were cupping in small balls just off the back edge of it. Now, for some people that can be feeding at around 12, 12 and a half, and then at around about 13, potting little balls of soil. That was a nice way to feed it, and to be honest, it looks like most people are feeding it in that way. However, we had to be careful. Sometimes fish were on the ground bait, sometimes they weren't on the ground bait. We had to play around a little bit, and it was really interesting looking and finding different things out. Hook baits, we could catch on anything from maggots, worms, bloodworm, even sweet corn. Caught several fish in the sweet corn in practice. My theory was hook baits weren't that important. Felt it was more important to get the feeding right, and then when you had a hook bait you could settle comfortably on, then you had to fish that. Bleak were a bit of a problem, so bunches of bloodworm would have been nice, but it was very difficult to get through a lot of the time, so you ended up having to fish 3 and 4 maggots or a couple of worms was probably a good hook bait. On to the match. I had a decent match myself. On the first day I had 10.5 kilos. I caught for around probably 2 hours, 2.5 hours, and then it sort of tailed off a little bit. It was a bit disappointing. I tied for 3rd in the section, which gave me 3.5 points in a 19 peg section, which I was really happy with. It's a great result, that. I got beaten by the end peg of the match. I had end peg in the match in my section, which is always going to be almost a given for a section win, or very close. They won the section with 15 kilos, so uncatchable. There was an Italian angler a couple of pegs down, and I thought he had a massive weight and he'd caught really well all day, but he actually ended up beating me by 240, 260 grams, which I was really disappointed about, especially when he had a couple of fish, one about a minute from the end. So, but that was all in the allocated time, so it just cost me coming second there. I learnt a little bit. I didn't really think I could have done too much different. I don't know why I didn't catch anything last off. I tried lots of different things. I was patient, but the float didn't go under once more, and it had been a second in the section. So I was happy with that. A good result on the first day. On the second day, we'd had to have a bit of a rethink. The team, we don't mind admitting, we didn't do brilliantly on the first day. We were about halfway in the pack, and it was because we'd made a few mistakes, okay? We've been quite aggressive with corn, we've been quite aggressive with other baits, and I think we should have been a little bit more reserved with how we fed. It was really interesting to see how the match panned out, and it was hard to learn from it. I think we had a couple of bad areas as well, to be honest, which didn't help matters. So a couple of bad areas, and we didn't quite have it right between us all, left us halfway. So on the next day, we were really keen to put it right, but unfortunately, the venue and the weather just shut up shop. It went really calm, a light wind from the east, which is terrible for that venue. You could just see that. The fishing was really poor in areas. I had 4 kilos in an area where lots of people had 2, 3, 4, 5 kilos. And then the top end of my section, there was about 8 or 9 pegs where they all had double figures or more, 12 kilos up to 19 kilos. And when you consider after that, they're all back down to low weights. I was really disappointed because I felt that I didn't really have a chance of good section points, and I came well down in my section. I was disappointed with that. However, I sort of beat a few that are around me. I think I beat 4 or 5 around me, and then that was it. Bit of a bad draw, and I can't really say I could do anything else. The last 2.5 hours I sat there without a bite. Maybe I could have come in shorter and tried to nick 1 or 2, but it wouldn't have made any difference. 1 fish here or there wouldn't have made any difference. I needed 12 kilos to get another sort of decent points, if you like, a top 10, and that was never going to happen. So something I just had to suck up, unfortunately. And I noticed that the diver team from the UK did brilliant on the first day, winning the first day. They had a second day very, very much like our first day, and that was because it had turned, it was a bit peggier and it was a bit harder. They had some bad draws all the way through, and you could just see that. So it was a bit disappointing. I think if it had fished well on the second day, one of those top 4 or 5 teams would have won the event who won it on the first day, because I felt they got it dead right, and we were hoping to try and put it right, but unfortunately it wasn't to be. The Hungarian Kolmik team won it. Well done to them. A really, really good result. I think they had a decent result on the second day, but quite a high score on the first day, so you can see how it sort of balanced itself out. But a tremendous venue, tremendous fishing, really exciting, especially on the pole when you're whacking into those big fish. Elastic everywhere. It's absolutely brilliant. I completely and utterly loved it. And then on to the feeder match. So onto the feeder match, and as you well know, I've been doing a lot of feeder fishing. I'm going away with the England feeder team to the World Championships this year, so I'm really into any feeder events abroad. I've already been to the Iberian Masters and had a great result there in third. So I was hoping to get a result here. Now it's very interesting how they do the results. There's 10 sections of 18 anglers. If you win your section, you're in the top 10. And then the top weights from those section winning weights form the top 10 overall. It's a continental style payout, which I actually quite like, because if you're in a poor area and you win your section, you're going to get in the top 10, but you might be at a lower end of that top 10. My match went absolutely fantastic. At the start of the match, I got a big baiting feeder, one of the big bait up feeders, and I put in 10 feederfuls at the start with a mixture of corn and joker and bloodworm. Sorry, not bloodworm, corn, joker and dead maggots in there at the start. Interestingly, on the feeder match, you weren't allowed to feed bloodworm. You were allowed on the pole match, which I fed a little bit on the pole match, but you've only got a hook bait on the feeder match. So it was nice because it just kept the bait option simpler. And I think I learned I probably didn't need it on the pole match as well, because what I'm about to tell you is, you'll see I caught a lot of fish. So once the match started, I changed to a small plug-it feeder in 30 grams. See that there? Now the key to this is that it's solid around the middle, which meant every single cast I could put the bait that I wanted into the middle of the feeder. So a little bit of joker, a little bit of chopped worms, a little bit of corn into the middle, plugged it off with some soil and cast it in. It allowed me to regulate what was going on, and I was really happy with that. I tried mixing a top-up mix like I'd had the day before. That worked for me as well, but I found it nicer because sometimes I could cast in with next to no bait, and sometimes I could fill that middle core of the feeder up with bait and then go out. It made me regulate every cast, and the bites were savage, absolutely savage. I had 15 minutes without a fish, and then I caught my first one. Had to be on your rod straight away, otherwise it'd just absolutely pull you in. I ended up using one of the new Revolution spools. You can see there, I just literally bring this in here so you can have a little look. Look, you just literally loosen that, and then your hook length comes off, and I peel these off, and I tie these at 1 metre, okay? You can see there, that's 1 metre, all right? Just take that off. Now, when I'm fishing, I just measure out the length I want. I wanted 50 centimetres on a day. These are 14 PR355, that is, to 015. So you can see they're a really strong hook. Get that bait on because the bites are really, really vicious. But having these all tied up, prepared, meant if I wanted to do 1 metre or longer, I could do that quite easily. I fished with 026 sinking feeder mono, so you know exactly what that is. And that sinking feeder mono is £8 in 026. It's bulletproof. There's a bit of a rocky ledge in the side, and the fish have got big sharp fins on the back, and they can catch your line quite easy. So having that thick main line was really important as well. I used the Sono Baits Bream ground bait pretty much on its own, to be honest. It was quite coarse, and then just a little bit of soil for fishing past, and it was absolutely perfect. Alternated between maggots, worms on the hook. Sometimes I felt with worms I caught catfish, went back to maggots, and it seemed to be a bit longer for avoiding the catfish, and caught really well. I fished at 13 metres. I felt that was where all the bait had gone the day before, so no need to fish any further. Maybe I could have fished further. I don't think it would have made a massive difference, but I had a fantastic run till the end of the match. Little spells, lots of Carasio, lots of carp. I ended up weighing 29 kilos, which is a stunning weight. I was absolutely and utterly over the moon with that. 19 kilos was second in my 18 peg section, so a really nice result. And it was the 4th highest section winning weight, which meant I was 4th overall in 180 pegs. It was actually the 4th highest weight in the match as well, which was a really, really nice result and something I was really pleased with. We had some good UK results. Steve Ringer came 3rd, Mick Files came 8th, their ship came 7th, and Will Raisin was in the top 20 as well. A really, really nice set of results for us there, which, you know, across the two UK teams, which when you consider there's 180 anglers, it was something to be really pleased with. So, long journey back here now, ready to sort out, ready to get ready for the Super League next weekend. Sono Baits Super League for Feeder Masters starts next weekend at Ferry Meadows. Absolutely and utterly can't wait for that. I will be going back to the WalterLand Masters in future. Hopefully I think it's 18 months before he's even got another event there, because they're going to do some works on the rowing course to make it even better still, if that's even possible. But obviously it is. So really enjoyed it. Hope you've enjoyed this little catch up on it, and I'll catch you on the next vlog, probably in a week or so, when we see what happens in the Super League. Thanks, bye.